Most Americans don't realize this, but the US economy is quietly sending warning signs right now. On the surface, everything looks fine. Jobs still exist. Markets are moving, and headlines keep telling us the economy is strong. But underneath all of that, something very different is happening. And if you live in the United States, this shift could affect your job, your savings, and your future much sooner than most people expect. Think about your daily life for a moment. Prices are still high. Rent feels impossible in many cities. Groceries cost noticeably more than they did just a few years ago. And yet, we keep hearing that inflation is under control. So here's the real question most people aren't asking. If inflation is under control, why does life still feel so expensive? That question is the key to understanding where the US economy may be heading next. This confusion is something millions of Americans are feeling right now. On one side, the numbers on TV look positive. On the other side, everyday life feels heavier. People don't know whether to feel optimistic or cautious. And that uncertainty is dangerous for any economy, because when people are unsure, they stop spending, delay decisions, and quietly pull back. Welcome to US Economy Decoded. This channel breaks down what's really happening in the American economy in simple English, without confusing jargon or hype. If you want to understand what's coming before it hits your money, make sure you subscribe early. This channel is new, but the goal is simple: help Americans see economic reality before it becomes a problem. To understand what's happening now, we need to rewind a bit. Over the past few years, the US economy went through massive shocks. Stimulus checks flooded the system. Supply chains broke down. Inflation surged to levels not seen in decades. In response, the Federal Reserve stepped in and raised interest rates aggressively faster than at almost any time in modern history. On paper, this worked. Inflation numbers started to come down, and headlines celebrated it as a victory. But here's what many people miss. High interest rates don't just slow inflation, they slow the entire economy. Borrowing becomes expensive. Businesses hesitate to expand. And when businesses stop expanding, hiring slows down. When hiring slows long enough, layoffs usually follow. The most important thing to understand is timing. Interest rate hikes don't hit the economy instantly. Their effects take months, sometimes even years, to fully show up. A loan taken at a higher rate today affects business decisions far into the future. That's why the economy can look fine on the surface, while pressure quietly builds underneath. This kind of slowdown doesn't arrive with alarms. It happens silently, slowly. And then, all at once, people start feeling it everywhere. Right now, we're seeing early signals. Job openings across the US are declining. Consumer debt is at record highs. Credit card balances are rising, and more Americans are falling behind on payments. These are not signs of confidence. They're signs of people stretching just to survive. Right now, many Americans are adjusting their lifestyles in small but meaningful ways. People are cutting back on dining out, delaying big purchases, and relying more on monthly payments instead of paying up front. These changes may not sound dramatic, but together they signal something important. When everyday consumers pull back even slightly, it slows down the entire economic engine. This is especially important because consumer spending drives a large part of the US economy. When spending slows, businesses feel it quickly. Expansion plans pause. Expansion plans pause. And once again, hiring decisions become more cautious. This is how pressure spreads quietly from households to companies. What makes this even more confusing is the stock market. Markets often look strong right before economic stress becomes obvious, because markets move on expectations, not everyday reality. While Wall Street celebrates rallies and growth, Main Street feels squeezed. And that growing gap between Wall Street and Main Street is one of the clearest warning signs in any economy. Many Americans sense that something feels off, even if they can't fully explain it. Wages haven't kept up with costs, savings are shrinking, and small financial setbacks feel bigger than they used to. This is what economic strain looks like before it shows up clearly in the headlines. Another factor most people overlook is confidence. Economies don't run only on money, they run on belief. When people believe things will improve, they spend, invest, and take risks. When that belief fades, even strong systems begin to slow down. Right now, consumer and small business confidence in the US is fragile. This fragile confidence explains why people are relying more on credit cards, dipping into savings, and feeling anxious about the future. These behaviors usually appear before major economic shifts. They don't make breaking news, but they matter more than people realize. So does this mean a recession is guaranteed? Not necessarily, but it does mean the risk is rising. The US economy right now is like a car driving fast while pressing the brakes at the same time. Growth is still moving forward, but high interest rates are quietly slowing everything underneath. Eventually, something has to give. History shows us that economic slowdowns rarely come from one single event. They build over time. Small stresses add up: higher borrowing costs, lower confidence, rising debt. None of these alone cause a crisis. But together, they create a fragile system where even a small shock can have an outsized impact. This is why economists pay close attention to periods like this one. Not because collapse is guaranteed, but because the margin for error becomes very thin. Policy mistakes matter more. Unexpected events matter more. Everyday people feel the consequences faster than institutions do. For the average American, this moment isn't about fear. It's about preparation. Understanding where pressure is building allows you to make calmer, smarter decisions, whether that means budgeting more carefully, strengthening savings, or simply staying informed. Which brings us to a critical question many Americans aren't asking yet. If the economy slows further, will the Federal Reserve cut interest rates to support growth? Or will inflation pressure force them to keep rates high longer than expected? That single decision could shape the US economy and your financial future for years. This is exactly what we'll break down in upcoming videos here on US Economy Decoded. This channel exists to help you see what's coming before it hits your wallet. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Do you personally feel the US economy is getting better or worse right now? Drop your answer in the comments. I read them, and your perspective matters. If this video helped you understand what's really happening, share it with someone who feels the pressure but can't quite explain why. Most people feel the stress, they just don't know the reason behind it. And if you want the US economy explained simply, without noise, hype, or confusion, subscribe to the channel. This is just the beginning. What comes next might surprise a lot of people.